Have you ever wondered how some people manage to keep their homes spotless without feeling overwhelmed? As we age, it can feel like a never-ending battle against clutter and dust. But what if there was a way to make your home effortlessly clean every day, without spending hours scrubbing or stressing about it? In this video, I'm sharing the 12 daily habits that help me, as a senior, maintain a clean, welcoming, and stress-free home. These habits are simple, practical, and quick to implement, yet they make a huge difference in keeping your space neat, no matter your age. Why should you watch until the end? Well, not only will you learn how to handle clutter, manage laundry, and keep your surfaces sparkling, but you'll also discover the mental and emotional benefits of these small daily actions. A tidy home doesn't just look good. It can also make you feel more at peace, more in control, and ready to face the day ahead. Stick with me, and you might just find that cleaning isn't as hard as it seems, and you'll walk away with tips that can make your home a sanctuary. So, let's dive into these 12 simple habits that can change the way you live, one small step at a time. If you are not subscribed, I recommend subscribing and activating the notification bell so you don't miss any videos. Your support means a lot to me, and if you enjoyed this video, you can help me continue spreading the valuable lessons by liking and sharing it. If you like the topic of this video, please comment 1. If you don't, please comment 0 to let me know how I can improve and make better videos for you. Now, let's begin. 1. Make your bed. Making my bed is the very first thing I do every single morning, and honestly, it has become so much more than just a routine. It's an act of self-care, a small yet significant way to reclaim a sense of control over my day. I'm the kind of person who thrives on structure, but I'm also aware of how easy it is to get overwhelmed when life feels like it's spiraling. That's where making my bed comes in. It's a simple, tangible way to create order, a small victory in the chaos that sets the tone for everything that follows. Now, don't get me wrong. I'm not talking about making my bed to perfection. It's not about neatly tucking in every corner, making sure the pillows are fluffed just right, or trying to create a magazine-worthy aesthetic. No, for me, making the bed is about establishing a sense of calm and putting something in place. It's about creating a little haven in the middle of a world that often feels messy. When I walk into my room, the sight of a bed that's been made is like a visual reminder that even amid uncertainty or chaos, there's still room for peace. I have to admit, I'm not exactly a morning person. I drag myself out of bed reluctantly, wishing I could curl up under the blankets and escape into the warmth. But that's where this small act of making the bed comes in. It's like a gentle nudge to myself, a quiet but persistent message. You can do this. You're capable of starting the day strong. I spend those few minutes pulling up the covers, smoothing out the wrinkles, and fluffing the pillows with an almost meditative focus. There's something about those moments that's oddly satisfying, even though they're so simple. It feels like the first accomplishment of the day, a reminder that I've done something positive, even if it's just getting the bed into a state where I can climb back into it later and feel like I'm returning to something calm and ordered. It's an emotional thing, too. You'd be surprised how much comfort can come from making your bed. When the blankets are neat and the pillows are in place, the whole room feels different. Lighter, brighter, and more inviting. There's no clutter, no chaos. It's like the world outside can be as unpredictable and demanding as it wants to be. But for those few moments, I've created a space where peace exists. It's a safe zone, a place where I can retreat to at the end of a long, exhausting day, and that's a feeling I can't overlook. It's become something I look forward to, climbing into a tidy bed, wrapping myself in the warmth of freshly pulled covers, knowing that I've already done something that promotes peace before even stepping out the door. At the heart of it, making the bed is about setting the tone for the rest of the day. It's like a quiet promise to myself that I'm taking charge, that I'm starting with a small step of control and intention. It's easy to feel overwhelmed by the tasks ahead, but the simple act of making my bed reminds me that I can handle whatever comes. It's a sign that I'm prepared, ready to face the world with a sense of purpose, even if it's just a quiet, determined feeling I carry within. And honestly, the emotional payoff is huge. There's a deep, subtle satisfaction that comes from the knowledge that, by doing something so small, I've already created a sense of accomplishment. Perhaps what I love most about it is the way it feels when the day comes to a close. After a full day of living, working, and moving through the world, there's something immensely satisfying about returning to that made bed. The effort I put in earlier feels like a small gift to myself, an offering of calm after a whirlwind day. It's the soft comfort of climbing into something that's not just physically inviting but emotionally soothing. A made bed to me is a haven, a place where I can rest, recharge, and prepare for the next day. And every time I take those few minutes to fold back the blankets and fluff the pillows, I'm reminded that the small things, the seemingly insignificant acts, can truly make all the difference. It's worth the effort every single time. 2. Handle clutter before it becomes clutter. Over the years, one of the most transformative habits I've developed, and one I truly believe has had an incredible impact on my daily life, is the simple yet profoundly effective act of handling clutter before it even has the chance to accumulate. At first, this might seem like a small, insignificant change, but in reality, it's been life-altering. The idea behind it is deceptively simple. As soon as I finish using something, whether it's a book, a cup, my car keys, or even something as small as my phone charger, I put it back where it belongs, right away. There's no procrastination, no waiting until later, no, I'll get to that in a minute. As soon as I'm done, I return it to its designated spot. It's become a daily ritual that I've learned to cherish. Folding the throw blanket after I use it, carefully placing my glasses in their case, and always returning the remote control to the side table are such small actions, but when done consistently, they create this overwhelming sense of order and calm. These tiny acts may seem insignificant on their own, but over time, they add up to create a profound sense of peace in my home. The difference is subtle yet noticeable. No longer do I feel like I'm constantly fighting a losing battle against clutter. Instead, it becomes second nature to take a moment to put things back where they belong, preventing the mess from ever getting out of hand. What I've realized through this process is that our homes are supposed to be living spaces, places of rest, tranquility, and comfort. They're not meant to be just storage units filled with things that get tossed here and there. When I allowed my space to be a dumping ground for anything and everything, it started to feel less like a peaceful refuge and more like a source of constant stress and chaos. The energy of the room felt weighed down by the mess, and I began to notice that my mind felt just as cluttered as my surroundings. It was as if my environment was a reflection of my inner state, and the disarray in my home seemed to mirror the overwhelming thoughts I was struggling to manage. But the moment I made a conscious decision to reclaim my space and treat it with the same respect I give to other important areas of my life, something remarkable shifted. Taking the time to tidy as I go not only keeps my environment neat, but also creates an undeniable clarity in my mind. There's this deep satisfaction in knowing that everything has a home, that nothing is left out of place, and that I'm not constantly being overwhelmed by the thought of needing to clean up. A tidy home becomes a space where my mind can rest, think clearly, and truly unwind. It's almost like my home becomes an extension of myself, a place where I feel in control, organized, and at peace. If you are still watching this video and find these lessons useful, please comment 1 below to let me know that you are still here with me. One of the most rewarding discoveries I've made through this practice is how it turns cleaning from a daunting, stressful chore into something much more manageable. I used to dread the thought of spending an entire day cleaning, feeling like I was constantly playing catch-up with a mess. But now, because I've built the habit of tidying as I go, I don't ever have to worry about the overwhelming mess that used to accumulate. It's as if I've found this beautiful rhythm in my day-to-day life. It doesn't require hours of cleaning or scrubbing, just a few small moments of attention throughout the day. It's about being mindful, not allowing things to pile up, and allowing my space to breathe. And I have to admit, it's become more than just a habit. It's become a source of pride. There's something deeply fulfilling about walking into a room that feels calm and collected, where every item is neatly placed, and where the space invites peace rather than anxiety. It's as if the act of keeping things organized is a form of self-care, a way to show love and appreciation for my home, my space, and ultimately, myself. In some ways, it's a form of meditation. Each item put away feels like a small, intentional step toward creating a serene, harmonious environment. As I've continued to embrace this mindset, I've noticed that it doesn't just keep my home tidy, it has allowed me to embrace the idea of a life well lived. I no longer feel like I'm fighting against clutter or feeling overwhelmed by things out of place. Instead, I feel empowered, in control, and truly at peace in my surroundings. And what's even more beautiful is that cleaning no longer feels like a chore. It feels like a simple, rewarding practice that I can enjoy because it contributes to the overall sense of calm and well-being that I strive for. The more I let go of unnecessary clutter, the more I create space in my life, not just physically, but mentally and emotionally as well. I feel lighter, freer, and more connected to my space. In the end, it's all about intention. It's about the mindset that says, I deserve a peaceful, organized space where I can thrive. And once you start living with this perspective, you'll realize just how much easier it is to maintain a clean and inviting home. It's no longer about perfection. It's about consistency, mindfulness, and the simple act of caring for your space so it can care for you in return. 3. Wipe down counters, tables, and sinks. Wiping down counters, tables, and sinks has, over time, become one of my most cherished and meaningful habits. It's fascinating how such a simple task can hold so much emotional weight, and I never realized it until I made it a daily routine. These surfaces, in many ways, are the silent backbone of our homes, taking on the brunt of every mess and every little spill that life throws their way. Spilled coffee, crumbs from a quick breakfast, fingerprints left behind after a hasty snack. These tiny moments accumulate until, before you know it, your counters, sinks, and tables are overwhelmed with the mess of daily life. It's easy to forget, but these surfaces are where we gather for meals, where we prepare food for our loved ones, and where we care for ourselves. They're more important than we give them credit for, which is why I believe keeping them clean is not just about cleanliness. It's about honoring the space where we live our lives. I used to think cleaning was a chore that I could skip or do only when things got out of hand, but I found that when I take the time to wipe down the counters, tables, and sinks every day, it changes the entire mood of my home. It doesn't take fancy, expensive cleaning products to get that fresh feeling. Honestly, all I need is a damp cloth, a few drops of dish soap, and a little bit of elbow grease. It's the most minimal effort, but the results are nothing short of magical. And I mean that with all sincerity. When I wipe down my kitchen counters, I immediately feel like the space is breathing again. It's as if I've cleared away the physical and mental clutter that tends to accumulate over time. The countertops gleam, and that small effort fills me with a sense of accomplishment and peace. It's the kind of peace you can't buy. It's the result of a small but meaningful act of self-care. The same applies to the bathroom sink. When I take a moment to make sure it's spotless, something inside me shifts. Suddenly, the entire bathroom feels like a sanctuary. The space feels like it's been reset, fresh, and ready to serve me once again. It's incredible how a few minutes of attention can restore balance and a sense of calm to an area that we often take for granted. The sink, a small yet crucial part of my daily routine, goes from being just a functional object to a part of a serene, intentional space. It becomes a reminder of the quiet beauty that can be found in the ordinary. But my favorite part of this habit is how it transforms my living space. There's something so deeply soothing about entering a room with a clean, polished coffee table. I'm not sure if it's the shine or the lack of clutter, but there's an undeniable sense of tranquility that washes over me. It's as though the entire room becomes more inviting, more restful, and much more peaceful. After all, the living room is often where we unwind, spend time with loved ones, or simply relax after a busy day. Having a clean, clutter-free table gives me the feeling that I've done something good for myself, that I've created a space that invites calm and rest. And, surprisingly, it's not just about the physical cleanliness. it's also about the emotional impact. A clean coffee table means that I've taken time to care for my surroundings, and in turn, I feel cared for, too. I've come to realize that these little habits are far more than just cleaning rituals. They're an expression of my care for my space, my life, and ultimately myself. They may seem small, but they carry with them the weight of intentionality. The act of wiping down surfaces has become a meditation of sorts, a brief but powerful moment of mindfulness amid a busy day. There's something so grounding in the rhythm of it. The motion of wiping, the satisfaction of seeing the surfaces shine, and the overwhelming sense of peace that follows. It's a reminder that I have the power to create order amid chaos, to carve out moments of stillness in a world that often demands so much from us. So, every day without fail, I take those few minutes to wipe down my counters, tables, and sinks. And every day, I am reminded of how much it matters. Not just for the cleanliness of my home, but for the peace and clarity it brings to my mind and soul. I've learned that, sometimes, the simplest acts of care can have the deepest and most lasting impact on our well-being. And I don't think I'll ever stop appreciating the joy of a clean surface, a small yet powerful symbol of a life lived intentionally and with love. 4. Do one load of laundry every day. Laundry used to be one of those tasks that would fill me with dread. It wasn't just the washing, but the overwhelming sight of a pile that seemed to grow larger with every passing day. I could almost hear it calling to me, reminding me of how much more I had to do, but instead of tackling it right away, I would push it aside. Each time I procrastinated, it felt like the task was growing in size and weight, until it became this insurmountable mountain. I'd tell myself I'll do it later, but the latter never seemed to come. When I finally took the time to face it, the clothes would be spread all over the house, the laundry room would be a mess, and I'd feel drained just looking at it. The pile was no longer just fabric. It was a symbol of my constant state of overwhelm. I found myself constantly stressed, not just about the laundry itself, but about the looming task of getting it done. I dreaded the feeling of facing something so large and unmanageable, and it made me resent the process altogether. The hours it seemed to take to load and unload the machine, fold the clothes, and put everything back in its place, all of that would drain me mentally and physically. I would often think to myself, why does something so simple make me feel so anxious? One day, though, I had an epiphany. I realized that the problem wasn't with the laundry itself, but with the way I was approaching it. The real issue was my all-or-nothing mindset. I would wait until the task grew so large that it felt impossible to manage. So, I decided to take a different approach, one that felt more manageable. What if, instead of waiting for laundry day to arrive, I made it part of my daily routine? The thought of doing just one small load a day seemed much more doable. No giant piles, no rushing, and certainly no stress. So, I started with baby steps. Each morning, I would choose a small load to do. Maybe some towels, or a few shirts that had accumulated in the hamper. I would load up the washer, press start, and then go about my day, leaving the machine to do its thing. It didn't feel like a big commitment, and it wasn't a drain on my time. I didn't have to drop everything or spend hours folding massive piles of clothes. By the time the load was done, I'd have a few minutes to fold everything before evening. It felt so easy and strangely satisfying to keep everything under control, one load at a time. What I didn't expect was how much of a difference this shift in perspective would make in my daily life. Laundry no longer felt like an overwhelming task. The act of doing one small load each day brought a sense of accomplishment that I hadn't experienced before. And the best part was that it didn't interfere with my day. I could do it while I was still focused on other things. It no longer took over my entire afternoon, nor did it leave me exhausted at the end of the day. I found that I had more energy and felt calmer because I wasn't juggling a mountain of clothes or letting it weigh on my mind. I've learned that breaking tasks down into bite-sized pieces works. It's not just about laundry, but about how we approach any seemingly insurmountable chore. When you tackle something small and manageable, it's not as overwhelming. It's so much easier to breathe when you're only carrying one pebble instead of a boulder. And as I fold those towels or shirts each evening, I feel a sense of pride in the little victories. One load, one step at a time. My advice to anyone who feels trapped by an ever-growing pile of laundry is simple. Don't let it take over. Don't wait until it becomes a mountain that seems impossible to climb. Tackle it one small task at a time. It's incredibly freeing to approach it with a calm mindset, one where you're in control rather than feeling like the laundry is in control of you. The power to simplify your life, minimize stress, and find joy in the small moments is always within reach. It starts with one simple habit, one small step. And trust me, once you start, you'll wonder why you didn't do it sooner. 5. Sweep regularly. Sweeping regularly might seem like such a small task, but in reality, it's one of those little habits that can make a world of difference in how a space feels. When you don't sweep often, you quickly forget how much dirt and debris silently gathers on the floor. It's almost as if the dust and crumbs sneak up on you. I've noticed it, especially in high-traffic areas like the kitchen, hallway, and living room, the very spaces where life unfolds most. For me, it's become a moment of calm and control. I've made it a daily ritual, just 5 or 10 minutes each day, where I grab my broom or my lightweight vacuum and give the floors a quick once-over. It's like hitting the reset button on my home. The beauty is in its simplicity. A swift sweep can transform a room, giving it a polished look and making it feel fresher. It's such a small act, but it creates an environment that feels put together, and it always lifts my mood. If you're a pet owner like I am, or if you have little ones running around, or, in my case, grandchildren constantly coming and going, sweeping becomes even more essential. They bring in the dirt from outside, and crumbs, dust, and little bits of everything can pile up without you even noticing. I used to worry so much when my grandkids spilled crumbs or made a mess while visiting. It used to stress me out, thinking it was something I had to fix right away. But over time, I've come to realize that messes are part of life, and they don't need to steal my peace. Now, when I sweep, I do it with an acceptance of life's beautiful, imperfect moments. I don't let it bother me. A quick sweep is all it takes to stay ahead of the clutter and keep everything in balance. If you are still watching this video and find these lessons useful, please comment 2 below to let me know that you are still here with me. It's not just about cleaning. It's about maintaining a sense of control in a world that can sometimes feel chaotic. It's about creating a space where, even for just a moment, I can breathe easily. That daily ritual of sweeping has become an anchor, reminding me that sometimes the smallest actions can create the most profound sense of calm. It keeps the space manageable and, more importantly, keeps me from feeling overwhelmed. It's an act of self-care in the simplest, most beautiful way. 6. No dirty dishes overnight. There's a deep, almost unsettling feeling that washes over me when I wake up to a sink full of dirty dishes. It's more than just an eyesore. It's a reminder of yesterday's chaos, a lingering sense of unfinished business that tugs at my peace of mind. The kitchen, a place meant to bring nourishment and warmth, suddenly feels cluttered and chaotic. It's as if the mess has spilled into the start of my day, threatening to drag me down into disarray. That's why I've set one steadfast rule in my home: no dirty dishes overnight. This isn't just about cleanliness. It's about creating a space where I feel at ease, where I can wake up without the looming presence of yesterday's mess. No matter how tired I am at the end of the day, no matter how tempting it might be to leave the dishes for later, I make sure that after every meal, especially dinner, I take the time to clean up. It's not just about washing the plates and utensils. It's about preserving the peace I've worked so hard to maintain. I wash everything by hand or load it into the dishwasher with meticulous care. But it doesn't stop there. I go the extra mile to wipe down the sink, making sure there are no remnants of food, no lingering bits of soap, and no stains. I want my kitchen to feel fresh and inviting, not burdened by the clutter of yesterday. It's a ritual I've come to cherish, even when it's the last thing I want to do at the end of a long day. But the reward is so worth it. An empty, clean sink is more than just a symbol of tidiness. It's a source of peace and tranquility. There's something deeply satisfying about starting the day with a spotless kitchen. It feels like a breath of fresh air, like stepping into a calm, organized space that doesn't feel overwhelming or chaotic. When I wake up in the morning, the absence of dirty dishes gives me a sense of relief and control. It's a small, yet powerful act that allows me to enter my day with a sense of clarity. I don't have to face the mess from the night before. Instead, I'm greeted by a clean, open space that invites creativity, warmth, and calm. I've come to realize that it's not just about keeping a clean home, it's about fostering an environment that supports my mental and emotional well-being. The act of cleaning up after dinner is a small, seemingly insignificant task, but it holds so much meaning for me. It's a way of taking care of myself, of creating order and calm in a world that can sometimes feel out of control. There's a certain comfort in knowing that I have control over this one aspect of my life, that I can end my day with a sense of accomplishment and begin the next one with a clean slate. In the grand scheme of life, it may seem like a trivial habit, but I've learned that it's the small, consistent actions that make the biggest impact. This simple habit has transformed the way I approach my mornings. Instead of feeling weighed down by the chaos of yesterday, I wake up to a clean, serene kitchen that sets the tone for a productive and peaceful day. If there's one piece of advice I could offer for a happier, healthier home, it's this: never let the dishes pile up overnight. It's not just about keeping your space neat, it's about honoring your peace of mind and creating a sanctuary where you can truly thrive. For me, it's become an essential part of my daily routine, a simple yet powerful practice that brings me a sense of calm, order, and joy. 7. Handle mail daily. Handling the mail every single day has truly become one of those small but essential rituals in my life, and I can't stress enough how transformative it's been for my sense of peace and control. There's something about the mail that can creep up on you so quietly, almost innocently. At first, it's just a handful of envelopes, some flyers, and maybe a catalog or two. But before you know it, those few pieces multiply into an overwhelming pile, sitting there, constantly reminding you that there's something you need to deal with. It's a constant source of stress that, over time, can seep into every corner of your mind. I've been there, and let me tell you, it doesn't feel good. I used to ignore it, let it sit for days, sometimes even weeks, telling myself I'd get to it later, but later never came, and before I knew it, my entryway was full of papers, each one demanding my attention. Every time I walked past that pile, I felt a little more overwhelmed, a little less in control of my space and, by extension, my life. The mess was never just physical, it was mental too. It weighed on me, even when I tried to push it out of my mind. Then one day, I decided enough was enough. I set a rule for myself: handle the mail as soon as it enters the house. No waiting. No procrastinating. It's such a simple habit, but the difference it's made is extraordinary. Now, as soon as I walk through the door, I make sure I go straight to the pile of mail on the counter, and I get to work sorting it. I don't even sit down to do it. I stand right there by the door, creating a small, dedicated space for this task. I immediately separate the bills and place them in my organizer, where I know they'll be waiting for me at the end of the month when it's time to pay. Gone are the days of scrambling to find a bill I've misplaced or forgotten about. The feeling of control I get from this is nothing short of liberating. Next, I toss the junk mail directly into the recycling. It's a no-brainer, just a few seconds to get rid of all that waste and unnecessary clutter. I don't give it any more attention than that because I've realized that I don't owe these companies my time. The feeling of letting go of all that unnecessary junk is like taking a deep breath after holding it in for too long. It's refreshing, and it clears up my mind as much as it clears up the space in my home. Then, any personal letters, invitations, or anything that feels important goes directly to my desk. This is where I give it my undivided attention. Instead of having it get buried under a stack of unopened envelopes or being forgotten in the chaos of unaddressed mail, I keep it where I can see it. The few minutes it takes to sort the mail might seem trivial, but it saves me from that looming dread that usually accompanies unfinished tasks. By sticking to this habit every day, I've created a home that feels organized, calm, and under control. What once felt like a never-ending battle with paper is now a manageable, routine part of my day. The beauty of it is that it's so small and simple, but it completely shifts my perspective. It might seem like such a mundane task, but to me, it's one of the small keys to living a peaceful, less cluttered life. There's something profoundly satisfying about knowing I've tackled one thing every single day, without it ever getting out of hand. This simple act has allowed me to avoid the stress of clutter and the frustration of disorganization. No longer do I feel the weight of those piles of paper bearing down on me. Instead, I find joy in the simplicity of it all. It's not just about keeping my house tidy, although that's certainly a big part of it. It's about creating the mental clarity I need to feel grounded. It's about taking control of the small things so that they don't grow into bigger problems later. In a world that often feels chaotic and out of our control, being able to check this off my list every day gives me a sense of mastery over my environment. And I'll tell you, that sense of control, of not being overwhelmed by the small things, is something I wouldn't trade for anything. It has made my life feel more organized, yes, but it has also made me feel calmer, more intentional, and more at peace. 8. Dust visible surfaces. Let's face it, no one has the time or energy to scrub every single surface in their home every day. Between work, social commitments, personal time, and everything else life throws our way, dusting every inch of your house can feel like an impossible task. I used to get overwhelmed just thinking about the effort it would take to keep my house spotless daily. The truth is, if we were to focus on every little speck of dust, it would take up so much of our time that we would miss out on living, enjoying those precious moments with family and friends, or even just alone time to unwind. But here's the trick I've learned over the years that has brought a sense of balance into my cleaning routine. Instead of getting bogged down by the pressure to make everything flawless, I focus on the areas that matter, the surfaces that people see when they walk into my home. It's funny how much of a difference it makes to simply prioritize the visible spots. For me, I've found that dusting those high-traffic, high-visibility areas, like the coffee table in the living room, or the bookshelf that holds all my favorite memories and treasured books, can make my home look instantly put together. It's as if by focusing on these spaces, I'm giving my home the love and attention it deserves without feeling like I'm spending the whole day cleaning. And then there's the TV stand. Oh, that TV stand. Somehow, no matter how often I dust it, it always seems to gather dust. But I've realized that keeping this area clear, especially because it's often in the center of the room and easily noticeable, has a huge impact on the way the entire space feels. Once I wipe it down, it's like the room takes on a cleaner, more peaceful vibe. I feel like I'm walking into a space that's both comforting and organized, a place that invites relaxation rather than reminding me of things I need to do. But I'm not going to lie, it's not always that easy. The tougher spots, like ceiling fans, blinds, and the tops of cabinets, require more effort. These areas tend to hide the dust as if it's playing some kind of game of catch me if you can. They don't show the dust easily, but when you finally do get around to them, it's like you uncover a whole new world of grime that you didn't even realize was there. So, once or twice a week, I make it a point to tackle those areas. The ceiling fans, for example, often gather dust so discreetly that you don't notice it until you turn them on and the air blows the dust around. It's always a bit of a chore, but in the end, it feels so rewarding to get that area cleaned up, knowing that I've taken care of something that makes a huge difference to the overall air quality in my home. The blinds. Oh, the blinds. They seem to accumulate dust like they're hoarding it, and every time I dust them, I wonder how it all happens. It's one of those little annoyances of life, but once I get them cleaned, it feels like I've taken a weight off my shoulders. Those little details. Tatter. I think it's the act of paying attention to the things that often go unnoticed, the things that get overlooked in the busyness of life, that adds a sense of care to the environment around us. What I've realized over time is that it's not just about having a clean house, It's about maintaining a space that feels fresh, inviting, and alive. Regular dusting, even if it's just a few minutes a day, helps maintain that balance. It's a reminder that I'm taking care of my environment, and in turn, my environment takes care of me. When everything feels neat, when the surfaces are dusted, it's like I'm living in a home that is full of clarity, peace, and well-being. And let's not forget the health benefits. Regular dusting helps manage allergens, so I'm breathing in cleaner air, especially during allergy season. It makes a world of difference, and I can honestly say that my home feels better because of it. But perhaps the most meaningful part of this whole ritual is the sense of satisfaction it gives me. I've come to cherish these small moments of care, those simple, mindful acts of wiping down the visible surfaces. It's almost like a quiet ritual, a way to reconnect with my space and with myself. In a world that often moves too fast, this small act brings me a sense of stillness, of peace. It's these simple habits that transform a house into a home, a place where I can truly be myself and where I can feel calm, rested, and ready for whatever life throws my way next. 9. Quick tidy up before bed. One of the most cherished rituals in my nighttime routine is the simple act of tidying up before I settle into bed. It's never a long or labor-intensive process, just a brief, yet meaningful, 10-minute walk through my home to restore order. It's a time when I take a moment to fold a blanket on the couch, carefully stack a few stray magazines, or gently fluff and straighten the cushions. At first glance, it might seem like a small, almost insignificant task. But over time, I've come to realize how profoundly those little actions shape my sense of peace. There's something so incredibly grounding about waking up to a clean and organized space. It's as though the tidiness of the home mirrors the clarity of the mind. When I step out of bed and my surroundings are calm and orderly, I feel like I'm stepping into a new day with a sense of control, ready to face whatever comes next. On the contrary, when I wake up to a chaotic mess, it's almost as if I've been hit with an overwhelming weight of stress before even leaving the bed. The clutter feels like a reflection of inner turmoil, and it can steal away the joy of a fresh start. This small ritual isn't about perfection, nor am I aiming to live in some pristine, picture-perfect home. It's about creating a sanctuary, a space where I can let go of the day's worries and truly unwind. To me, it's the foundation of the evening, a simple yet powerful gesture that invites tranquility into my home. It's a reminder that peace and relaxation don't require grand gestures. Sometimes, all it takes are small, intentional steps to nurture an environment where I can truly be at ease. 10. Open the windows daily. Opening the windows every day has become one of my most cherished habits, and it's truly amazing how something so simple can bring such a sense of renewal to a space. Each morning, without fail, I open them just a crack, just enough to let the world outside breathe into my home for a brief, yet transformative moment. It only takes about 10 minutes, but in that time, something magical happens. The stale air trapped within the walls starts to dissipate, replaced by the fresh, invigorating breeze that nature offers so freely. There's something profoundly calming about the flow of fresh air. It's like a reset for both your home and your mind. If you are still watching this video and find these lessons useful, please comment 3 below to let me know that you are still here with me. Even though nothing else has changed in the room, just that rush of clean air makes everything feel lighter, fresher, and somehow more alive. It's especially comforting after cooking a meal, when the air might feel heavy, or during the cooler months when we tend to close ourselves off from the world outside. I've come to realize that this little ritual doesn't just cleanse the air, it refreshes my spirit. It clears the fog from my thoughts, lifts my mood, and makes me feel more connected to the outside world. It's a small, almost forgotten act of self-care that I've come to treasure. I truly believe that this simple habit, done daily, works wonders for not only the atmosphere of your home but for your mental well-being too. If you're ever feeling stuck or overwhelmed, try it. It's like opening a window to a new perspective. 11. Keep cleaning supplies handy. Keeping cleaning supplies easily accessible is one of those small but incredibly effective changes that can truly transform your daily routine. I can't even begin to explain how much time and energy I've saved by making sure everything I need is within arm's reach. There's something undeniably frustrating about having to search through cabinets or closets for cleaning products when you're in the middle of trying to tackle a mess. It just makes everything feel like a bigger burden, doesn't it? That's why, for me, having a dedicated cleaning caddy placed in a central, easily reachable spot in my home has made such a difference. In my caddy, you'll find all the essentials I rely on: a multi-purpose cleaner, microfiber cloths, a small duster, and a simple but powerful spray bottle of water and vinegar. These items are not just tools. They're little helpers that allow me to stay in control of my environment, which is so empowering. Whenever I spot a spill, a smudge, or dust gathering in the corners, I don't have to waste precious moments scrambling to find the right cleaner. I can simply grab what I need and handle the situation in the moment. It's this kind of immediate response that makes all the difference. It feels effortless and even kind of satisfying. The beauty of keeping everything close by is that it makes cleaning seem less like a dreaded chore and more like a natural, almost soothing part of my day. There's a real sense of peace in knowing that I can address little messes right away, instead of letting them pile up and overwhelm me. Over time, it becomes so ingrained in your routine that cleaning is just a small, seamless task woven into the fabric of your life. Life is already complicated enough as it is. Why not make the simple act of cleaning as easy and stress-free as possible? This small habit has brought so much clarity and ease into my day, and I honestly couldn't imagine going back to the old way of cleaning. It's a small thing that truly makes a big impact on my peace of mind. 12. Enjoy your clean home. There is something so deeply satisfying about coming home after a day of small, yet meaningful efforts to maintain a space that feels both clean and welcoming. For me, it's not just about wiping down counters or tidying up a bit. It's about crafting an environment that truly nurtures my soul. I make it a point to pause and relish the results of my work. Whether it's curling up in my favorite chair with a good book, savoring each page as I sip a warm cup of tea, or sharing the peaceful energy of my home with a close friend, I make sure to take in the moment. A clean home goes far beyond the surface. It's a sanctuary that reflects care, intention, and love. It's a place where I can unwind, recharge, and feel safe. In the hustle of life, it's easy to forget to appreciate these little joys. But when I take a moment to truly see how the space I've created supports me, it fills me with such quiet pride. Lighting a candle, putting my feet up, and simply soaking in the serenity, I am reminded that all the effort, no matter how small, is so incredibly worth it. There's a unique joy in knowing that this space, this home, is not only clean but full of intention, warmth, and the promise of comfort. It is a reminder that taking care of yourself and your environment is an act of love, both for yourself and for those who enter your space. As we wrap up today's reflection on creating a peaceful, welcoming home and the simple yet profound joy that comes from caring for our space, I invite you to think about what you've learned so far. What small, meaningful actions can you bring into your own life to cultivate a space that nurtures not just your surroundings, but your soul? Is there a new perspective on the importance of self-care and mindfulness in maintaining your home? Perhaps you've realized how truly worth it those little moments of appreciation are after a day of tidying up. Whatever it is, I'd love to hear from you. Please share with me one thing you've learned today and how you plan to bring it into practice in your own life. Just drop your thoughts in the comments section below this video. If you enjoyed this video, please leave your comment, like, share, and don't forget to subscribe to our channel for more content like this. Thank you for joining me, and I look forward to connecting with you again soon.